Good morning. Good morning. We are back again with another video. This is a live, and I come in here Monday through Friday for lives, but sometimes I come in later in the day as well. So if you want to catch me live, catch the conversation live, ask me some questions live, make sure you turn on your notification bell so you can catch me the next time I go live. So if you don't know how to do that, because I didn't know how to do that at one point either, you go where you hit subscription, subscribe, not subscription, subscribe, and it'll give you a drop down, and then you hit all notifications. Okay. So today, what we are talking about is if you are confused about leaving a disrespectful person. This is a question that I read, and I love this topic. Not because it's a fun topic, but I love it because I think a lot of people can relate to this. I had a case where a lady realized she was dealing with disrespect. And because people who are narcissistic, toxic, everything they do is very gradual, right? The person you see at the end of the relationship or further along in the relationship is not the same person you saw in the beginning. So a lot of times, because the behavior is so drastically different, it leaves you confused. So what this lady experienced was that she realized this person was speaking to her disrespectfully. So he would snap at her when she would just come to him to talk to him about something, speak very rough to her, not use profanity necessarily, but just speak very rough, very rude, to her. And she noticed he started to do it in front of the children as well. Now, she had some of her own children from a previous marriage, and then she had a child with the current husband. And what she noticed happening was that now the children were starting to not respect her as a mother, right? So what the narcissistic father was doing, and she didn't know he was narcissistic at the time, but she knew she was not being treated well. What she noticed was that because of the way the father was treating her in front of the children and speaking to her, belittling her, that they were now starting to talk to her like, your opinion doesn't matter, right? We're going to go to dad for whatever we want. Even if you say no, we're going to go to dad to get the answer, and not really take her serious, right? And that is when she started to realize, okay, this situation is getting bad. What made her confused was looking back in the past at how he treated her before, right? How he was helping her, how he helped her with the other children that was not biologically his, right? They had come from an impoverished situation. So he helped to pull them out of that impoverished situation, give them new opportunities. And she felt indebted to him. And let me say this, listen carefully. This is exactly what toxic and narcissistic people like to do. Okay. They like to invest in you, do good things for you to make you feel indebted to them. That when they are ready to flip the switch and disrespect you, treat you poorly, that you say, well, I don't want to be ungrateful. He did do this for me. He did do that for me. But let me say this, there is no price that anyone can pay to disrespect you. They can give you millions of dollars, and disrespect should never be a payment for the millions of dollars. Okay, nothing should allow someone to disrespect you, someone to hurt you, even if it's periodically and it's not every day, right? Because this is what they do, right? They give you good and bad, and it keeps you on an ongoing roller coaster. But while you are on that roller coaster, you are being damaged internally. Okay, so this is where it left the one. I'm just picking up my notes here. This is where, welcome. This is where it left the woman very confused as to, okay, I do identify him now. I do see that he's disrespectful. I do see that he's not respecting me, not only for me, but in front of my children. But she felt confused about, but should I leave? So let's talk about this. The first, and get your pen and paper if you are in this situation, because this is going to help you. The first thing I want you to think about is go back to the basics. All right, write that down. Go back to the basics. What does that mean? Writing down what are your requirements for a partner. That's the basics, right? When we are young and we get into relationships and we get older and we get into new relationships, we kind of know what we want it to look like, but a lot of times it's superficial, right? We know what we want it to look like on the outside to other people. But what do you want that person to bring to you? What are the requirements for someone to have access to you? right? And quite frankly, when we think about this, it doesn't only have to be in romantic relationships, just in general. What are the requirements? And this is something we're not taught as children. So this is why a lot of us end up in these types of situations. But this is something we deeply have to think about. And once you think about it, once you get clear on it, you don't really have to go back to it anymore. You just have to make sure people are in alignment with the standards that you set for yourself. But going back to the basics means, what are the basics to be in contact with me? What are the basics to be in my inner circle, right? Because some people could have contact with you, but not be in your inner circle. That doesn't make them bad. That doesn't make you bad, but it's possibly that they're not in alignment with what you want, right, in your life. So go back to those basics. What are your requirements for a partner? And in the topic we're talking about today, being confused about whether you should leave a disrespectful person or not, when you look at your requirements, is disrespect on the list of acceptable traits? And more than likely, it's not. You know, we make relationships sometimes more complicated than it needs to be. And let me go a step further and say, sometimes we don't make it complicated, but the people that we are in the relationship with helps to complicate it, right? And because we're trying to make it work and we're trying to, you know, keep everything smooth and trying to move along, we participate in their complication, right? But relationships really don't have to be complicated. Once you are clear about what your requirements are, and this is something I go further in my program, the Relationship Detox. Once you realize what your requirements are, it's smooth sailing from there, because either the person fits it or they don't. Now, I know where it gets a bit difficult is when you are already in the relationship for a long time. In particular, toxic and narcissistic relationships are usually long-term relationships. Then you feel a bit awkward to say, okay, how can I change up now? You know, I tolerated it for this amount of time. You know, how can I just say this, you know, I don't want this anymore? Because you can. You're allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to set new standards for yourself. And yes, it's difficult, but guess what? Again, this does not have to be complicated. If the person values you, if they want to be with you, if they want a healthy relationship just like you, they're going to change along with your new requirements. It's that simple. It's that simple. Now, human nature, yes, there might be a little bit of pushback, little bit. Keep that in mind, little bit of pushback. But generally speaking, someone who is emotionally mature, someone who wants you to be well and to grow and to be nurtured in you as a human being, not break you down, not keep you confused, not keep you on edge, not keep you stressed, that person is going to want to adjust, because their ultimate goal also in a healthy situation, a healthy person, is to have a healthy relationship and a healthy home. So you are allowed to change your requirements, but go back to the basics. If you are confused about whether you should leave a disrespectful person or not, go back to the basics. What are the requirements for someone to be in your life, for someone to be your partner? What are the requirements? And then is there disrespectful behavior on that list of requirements? The case I told you about at the beginning of this video with the lady with, you know, the husband speaking to her very rudely and like a gruff, right? And in front of the children as well, and belittling her. When she had to go through what are your requirements, it was very obvious. This is not my requirements. I don't want someone to speak to me like this. And if I correct them, I don't want them to continue to disrespect me. If I reach out for support, because she did reach out for support from certain close family members, he criticized her for that. He never changed, and he continued to do it. And the children continued to disrespect her. So it was very obvious that he was not willing to match her requirements. And that's also evidence and a red flag that this person has no good intentions for her and for the relationship. Keep in mind, people want to be attached to you. People may want to be in a relationship with you, but it doesn't mean they have good intentions for you. Being attached to you, having you in their life is a benefit, but it doesn't mean they want to reciprocate that benefit. So don't get confused because someone wants you that they want the best for you. They could want you just because you benefit them, right? Okay, second point. when you are confused about leaving a disrespectful person. The second thing I want you to do is to confront your fears. Write that down. Confront your fears. Your fear of being alone. That is a major fear for a lot of people. And this is what keeps a lot of people going back to either that same toxic and narcissistic relationship or quickly jumping into another toxic and narcissistic relationship because you are so desperate to have someone. You fear being alone. Okay? You fear not finding someone again. Sometimes a toxic and narcissistic person may have told you, you will never find someone again. This is it. You have kids. No one's going to want you. Whatever it is, they will make you feel, even if they don't verbally say it, they will do things to implant that idea in your mind that you won't find someone again, right? Or you may fear their retaliation. You know that they have aggressive tendencies. If not physically aggressive, emotionally aggressive. They may say, I'm going to do this to sabotage you, to hurt your career, to do whatever. You know they have it in them. Even if you have not verbalized it to someone else, even if you have not verbalized it to yourself, you know that you've seen in their behavior. Maybe you have not even admitted it to yourself because it's embarrassing to admit to ourselves. I know I've been there, that you are laying next to someone that you know is cruel, that you know would hurt you just because they got upset, which is not normal. That's not healthy. You can be in a relationship, a friendship, a romantic relationship, a family relationship, and you can have a disagreement, but not want to hurt the person, not want to sabotage the person. But there's something in you that knows that this person has it in them to try to hurt you. So you may fear their retaliation if they get angry, right? You may fear people judging you. You may fear people judging that the relationship ended. I know what that was like. I was always someone that took a lot of pride in not having many partners, right? And I come from a family. My parents were married until death do them part. My mom passed away when I was 10, but they were married for many years, right? And that was something that was expected of me as well. And when this relationship, before the 10-year relationship that I was in ended, I was trying to keep it going because I did not want to look I did not want to feel embarrassed, right? I had given 10 years of my life to this person. We met in one state. We lived in that one state where we were both from. He ended up moving out of state. I continued that long distance relationship for about 2 years. And then I ended up moving. So I made a lot of sacrifices, right? Even when there were some people that told me along the way, I don't like him. I don't think he's right for you, whatever it is. And I stood up for him. So all of that made me feel like I got to stick this out. I can't show people I was wrong and I made the wrong decision. Don't do it to yourself. We are all human. We all make mistakes. Don't jeopardize your health, your life. Don't waste your time because you are afraid of feeling embarrassed. It's normal, but if you feel that, and put a 1 in the comments if you can relate to what I'm talking about. If you feel that, I want you to say it's normal. I'm normal. Nothing's wrong with me for feeling this, but I can't let it control me. I cannot let it control me. I cannot let it control decisions. I cannot let it allow me to make bad decisions because I'm more concerned about my image to other people versus what is best for me. And the reality is people who really do love you and want the best for you, they're not going to judge you. They're going to have an opinion, of course, but they're going to be more happy that you made a decision that was best for you than to criticize you and say, I told you should have left, or, you were stupid for staying that long. The people who are for you and love you, they're not going to do that. And if you don't have those people, it's okay. Yes, it's a bit painful. I'm not undermining that, but there's billions of people in this world. You can find a safe place. You can find a safe circle. You can create your own circle. And I know it might sound far-fetched for those of you who are born and raised in a community and with the same people and you feel like you need them and that's it. But if those people are not right, you can create your own circle of healthy, happy, wholesome, genuine relationships. Okay? The third point I want you to consider when you have a hard time, before I go into that, we talked about, I'll get to that in a minute because we talked about confronting your fears. And I'm going to explain to you how to confront your fears and how to, going back to the basics, right? So the third point is when you are fearful or you feel confused whether you should leave a disrespectful person, understand that feeling of confusion, a good man, a real man, a mature man will never leave you confused. When I came out of my narcissistic relationship, my 10-year narcissistic relationship, there were 3 books that I read. I don't remember how I got my hands on these books. Anyway, I'll get back to that in a minute. I think as I was getting out of the relationship and I was going to catch a flight, I bought these books on the airport. Nevertheless, one of the books that I bought, were there 3 books? Yes, 3 books. One was How to Go No Contact, or Going No Contact Like a Boss. And that spoke about narcissists and the power of going no contact. I read one called The Secret, which many of you may know about, The Secret. And the third one I read was Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man by Steve Harvey. Now, that third book that I just mentioned from Steve Harvey, I had heard about the book. I watched the movie, never took it serious because I'm like, it's Steve Harvey. Like, I grew up in the 90s, born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, and I grew up watching Steve Harvey. He's a comedian. Like, what can he write about in a book? And I watched the movie. But this book was powerful. What this book explained to me, so if you haven't gotten the book yet, go ahead and get it and read it. What this book did for me is made me see how simple relationships can be when both people are on the same page, when both people have a certain level, a matching level of maturity. Now, no one is always exactly the same or always exactly on the same level, but generally in the same, let's say, chapter, right? So you're in the same book. You may not be on the same page all the time, but at least you're in the same chapter, right? As you're moving along life, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, right? You may be on different pages of the chapter, but you're in the same vicinity, right? When you are in alignment, relationships don't need to be that complicated. We make it complicated, and we go along with allowing other people to make it complicated so they can continue to control and manipulate. Okay? A good man is not going to leave you confused. I remember he shared his story where when he met his current wife, Marjorie, he was, infatuated with her. And I think he said something like she came over to visit him and he got some call on the phone and he started taking a call. He was doing something that was a little like suspicious, sending mixed messages, making her feel like, well, you wanted me here, but now you're acting funny. And she took her bag and she left. And he ran to stop her. And don't quote me. It's been a long time since I heard this story, but this is the gist of it. He ran to her, and her getting her bag to leave, she made it clear to him, I am grown. I am not here for games. Either you want me or you don't. And then we'll see where it goes. And he did not do anything like that again to ever make her question if he wanted her. When a man is mature, he wants to settle down with a woman, and he sees you as that woman. He is not going to leave you confused. He's not going to leave you questioning anything. And if you come to him with a question, he's going to explain. He's going to give you whatever explanation he can give to give you clarity. I want you to hear that carefully, because I believe that's a lot of times how women stay stuck in toxic and narcissistic relationships. We try so hard to make these things work. So hard. And Steve Harvey's book made it very clear. It does not have to be that hard. Don't let anyone make you think it's that complicated. Yes, there's ups and downs and disagreements, but there's a difference between that and manipulation and ongoing conflict and ongoing problem, and you having to beg someone to act right. So you having to beg someone to participate in the relationship, right? To be involved, to be interested, to be enthusiastic about the life that you have together. If the person is not enthusiastic to live a life with you, to grow with you, to grow old with you, if they're not enthusiastic about that, they don't value you. You are loving them more than they are loving you, and that is a problem. Okay? So understand when you feel confused, understand that a good man is not going to leave you confused. If you were confused about something, you should be able to bring it to them. You all discuss it and you get clear about it and you're able to move on, and not get clear where you're just afraid to rock the boat. So you just take whatever little explanation you get, or you have to beg them to explain themselves. No. If they know you are a serious woman, you're a good woman, but you're also not going to allow yourself to be played around with, they're not going to play games with you. Steve Harvey's wife, Marjorie, she had to show him, I will pack my bags and go. I am not here to play games. And that's not you being difficult. They will try to make you feel like you're being difficult. That's not you being difficult. No, that's you having standards. And healthy people respect standards. They're actually going to admire you even more because you have standards and boundaries that you are living by. So we talked about some of the things to think about, to work on as you feel confused to leave a disrespectful person. Let's just get down to the solution, what to do next, right? Because we're clear about why you feel confused, and what you need to do to get unconfused. But let's talk a little bit more about where to go from here. So what I would recommend for you to do, with my clients for years, I worked in the mental health field for about 8 to 9 years before I went into coaching. And one of the things I always recommended to my clients was journaling. Now, even though I know it worked and they told me it worked, I didn't try it until I got out of my own toxic and narcissistic relationship. And there is power in journaling because our minds are good at tricking us. Our minds are good at going into denial. But when you write something down, you can't lie. You can't go and erase it, but you're not going to do that, right? You're going to go back to what you wrote. So write out what you want in a partner. What are your requirements? Get clear on that and don't be vague about it. Sometimes you might be tempted to be vague because you now don't want to cancel out the person that you're connected to because you realize they're not going to meet these standards. But don't lower your standards and don't be vague. You deserve what you deserve. You deserve the best. If you're bringing the best, you deserve the best. Okay? So take a journal and write out, what are my requirements for a partner? This is one of the exercises I have in my program, the Relationship Detox. Okay? Find solutions to the fears that you have. So if you fear being alone, surrounding yourself with a new group of people. And I know that's not something you can do 1, 2, 3, but you can find different ways. I have a program called Thrive. Well, not a program, a community. I have a program called the Relationship Detox, which at this current moment will allow you a free month of access into Thrive, which is a community. You won't be alone there. I am there. There's other women who are there. You will have a community to have support. Okay? You can also join different extracurricular activities you may like, dance classes, a gym, whatever it is. Find spaces where you can feel good, okay? And keep in mind, because sometimes we are so stubborn and fixated on the people we want to have in our lives that we block the people that God wants to bring in our lives. Okay. Sometimes we think I'm supposed to have this friend. I'm supposed to have this cousin. But if those people are not able to support you in the way that you need support right now, don't be stubborn and hold on to them because you're blocking your blessings. Open yourself up to new spaces and environments so God can bless you with new good people. Okay. So if you have that fear of being alone, fear of retaliation, right? Setting boundaries also allows the person, that toxic and narcissistic person, to see that you are serious, right? I will call legal enforcement if I need to. I will do what I need to do to protect me, but you're not going to bully me. They need to know that about you, okay? They need to also know that you don't care about them being upset. They're so used to being able to hold that over you throughout the relationship that you try not to upset them too much. They need to see you are a brand new person. I don't care if you get upset. I don't care if you call me a whore. I don't care if because that's some of the things they like to do. You're a whore. You're cheating. They know that's not you, but they know that's going to trigger you. So they're going to say whatever they can to trigger you because they know you have high standards for yourself. And actually, you're far from who they're describing you to be. But they're going to say what they can just to reel you back in, get you to defend yourself, right? So don't fall for any of that. Let them know I am more than okay with you thinking the worst about me. I'm okay with it. But just stay away from me if you know what's best for you, right? And get support if it's challenging for you to do any of this on your own. At the time of this recording, this live, it is the end of 2024. I've been saying this for the past couple weeks. We don't want to go into the new year. If you're like me, I love new beginnings. I love a new start of the day. I love new start of the week, new start of the year, right? And not just because it's trendy, but because I believe that that's God saying, here's another opportunity. Let's not waste the time God is giving us. Let's not waste the opportunity God is giving us. He does not want us to do things that's hurting ourselves. He does not want other people to hurt us. Okay, you were his daughter. If you're a man, you were his son. He does not want us to be abused and to be mistreated. And I know we get confused, mixed messages from religious practices that says, forgiveness and give people another chance and turn the other cheek. That is foolish. Okay, those are misunderstood scriptures. Okay, forgiveness means letting go of the anger. It doesn't mean allowing the person to have access to you. Letting go of the anger so your heart is not filled with anger. You're not going through your life with a lot of anger. And you're human, you're going to feel anger, but the key is to not let it sit there, right? That you can release it. And if you get angry again, you pray on it and you can release it and you move forward. Right? But don't get confused that is the right way to do. No, that is foolish. God does not want us to get hurt. So with that said, if you are in a place where you say, I want to move on, I don't want this to be my issue anymore, I'm trying to work on myself, or I'm trying to get out, or I've gotten out of the relationship already, but I'm still struggling, go ahead and go to the relationshipdetox.co. There's different ways that I can support you. I have private coaching, I have a community, and I have my program. My program right now is, I would consider, at the best start for you, because it allows you to have access to my course, which you will have lifetime access to, as well as my community, where you will have access to me for coaching and any of the other women that are there. Okay, so that is a great place to start. If you don't want to do this on your own, you don't have to do it alone. I see a lot of people talking on different groups, on different social platforms, that they feel lonely. They need someone to talk to. You don't have to do it alone. And I am someone who have experience from the mental health field, right? So dealing with human behavior, but as well as my own personal experience with toxic and narcissistic relationships. So if that is something that you are interested in, you don't want to be in limbo anymore, you feel confused, whatever it is, go ahead to the relationshipdetox.co to get more information. And there's different ways you can contact me. It's all in the description box of any of my videos. I hope that this was helpful for you. You all have a blessed day. Again, if you are new here, turn on your notification bell so you will know when I come back on live. All right, talk to you soon.